What do we do about Notre Dame? Well, because I like Marcus Freeman.
They need to be in a conference.
I mean, I mentioned how Texas's schedule is Texas's schedule. It's not. We're not going to sit here and woe is Texas. But I think look at Ohio State, who Texas will play in week 2. It was announced it'll be a 6:30 game. It'll be prime time. It'll be ABC. And I don't know, when I say the question, what do we do about Notre Dame? I don't know that there's an answer to it. But they're playing the same sport. They're playing for the same championship. Whereas Texas has those 2 big games every month. Look at Ohio State, Jack, you have to rebuild their defense. They play at Texas. They play Oregon. They play at Indiana. They play home to Michigan. They play at USC. They play at Iowa. They play at Nebraska. And again, get down to Nebraska. I don't know what Matt Rule's team's going to be in year 4. They play an Illinois team in week, that with Brett Bielema that's shown signs of being a really good team. So, I mean, to me, point of that is they play 4 or 5 teams that are better than anybody on the Notre Dame schedule. And how does Notre Dame continue to get away with that is the fair question, right? Because, wherever we talk about all these spring meetings and all these conference conversations and who's meeting, who's on what side, we always say the heads of the 4 power conferences and the AD at Notre Dame. The AD at Notre Dame. They still have equal footing with everybody else. Why? Because they're Notre Dame. I get it. But how do we... Take your thoughts. 512-834-1027. Do you have a thought? I mean, they still get the same treatment that they've always gotten, and they're really good. This is not to sit here and... Like UCLA baseball. Okay, we've talked about them all year long. They're the number 1 team in college baseball as the Big Ten imported their baseball from the West Coast. I looked up their schedule yesterday. Their toughest non-conference schedule this year, their weekend for UCLA baseball, was Rutgers. Okay, but they're in a conference. They can't do anything about that. Their schedule is their schedule. They're in a weak baseball conference. Yeah. Their toughest actual home series for UCLA was USC.
Yeah, they played Oregon this last weekend, too. Those are the 2 tough teams they play.
And Oregon is, barely top 25. USC is a good team. They're number 12 in the country. So, but their actual toughest, when they left Westwood, UCLA's toughest road trip was when they went to Arlington to play in the February tournament where they played Tennessee and they played Mississippi State and they played A&M. They won all 3 of them, so credit. But they haven't played a tough road 3-game series this year. Rutgers, Ohio State were their toughest games, and those are under 500 teams. So, again, but, UCLA will find out when they get there. But they're playing the same sport because they're in a conference. When I look at Notre Dame's football schedule that they made, and then I look at Ohio State, who's a contender to go try to win the championship, Texas, I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke. I mean, Texas, they chose to play Ohio State in the non-con. Fair enough. But, people talked last year, maybe get rid of that game. Ohio State wants to play it. Heck, Ohio State just signed up to play Alabama in a non-conference home-and-home series. They're not ducking anybody. Texas, still has Notre Dame on their schedule coming up, by the way. Are they going to keep that game? That series, which becomes a question. I don't know that there's an answer. It's pretty ridiculous that the toughest game that Notre Dame has on their schedule with USC pulling out of that game, because USA is basically saying, look, we have a tough enough schedule. We're in a conference, we got to play Ohio State, and we got to play, really good teams in Oregon in the Big Ten. We don't need to play you. We got a tough enough road. Well, so now Notre Dame has nobody.
Yeah, I think the most simple answer is just make them join a conference somehow. I don't know how you do that.
How do you do that?
But, I mean...
They need to.
They're already half in the Big Ten and half in the ACC. And if they play every year.
If Notre Dame fans are out there going, what are you talking... Look, their toughest game is BYU. And BYU, we saw Texas Tech tallywhack them twice last year. It's not close. BYU's a good team, solid program. But if that's your toughest game of your 12, your second toughest is a home game with Miami, and okay, I'll give the U credit. But look, let's just say they lose to Miami, and Miami becomes their toughest game. Okay, they're 11-1, and they're in the top 12, and they'll be in the tournament. And the whole goal is now to get to the tournament, right? That's what you're trying to do. Yeah. But this is what, if you go to that USA Today article that Steve Sarkisian was quoted in yesterday, we talked about a lot, that he's, what is the selection committee looking at? What's the criteria? How does this work? Well, one thing's not like the other. One schedule is apples, one schedule is oranges. And yet, everywhere you go, Notre Dame has equal footing. Like, it's the 4 Power 4 commissioners, and then it's Notre Dame's AD. And they get the same seat at the table as commissioners of 18 and 16 team leagues. And yet they don't play anybody. And I'm really curious here in Horns That Have Passed if Texas, after they play Ohio State this year and wrap up and honor that series, that home and home that they signed, if they, because Crystal Conti's not committed to those Notre Dame games that are down the road. I don't know that they're now when they go to 24 teams, which is going to happen. I think they will do. Well. I think they will do that. But at the same time, to your point about how do you force them into a conference? Why would they settle? Why would they do that? It feels like they should have a long time ago.
Yeah.
While all this shifting and conference realignment is happening, but they haven't. They've remained autonomous. But now this year, and I'm assuming we're talking about this on May the 13th. I think when we get to the season, people will really start looking at this, saying, "Come on, y'all." Teams that have even Oregon, who's really a good team, they just have a different path to get to the same goal. That shouldn't be. Of all the things that people get fired up about disgraces, college football playoffs, it shouldn't go to 24, all this, which it is. That's what fires me up. I mean, I grew up Irish Catholic. I'm a Notre Dame fan. My grandfather was a huge Notre Dame fan. A lot of people in my family, where I grew up, first 8 years of my life in Ohio, Jack, you're either, because of the parochial schools and the Catholic schools, you're either an Ohio State fan or you're a Notre Dame fan, period. And you hate Michigan. I mean, that's what you're born with. You pick, Notre Dame. Most people go Ohio State, and then you hate Michigan. That's just the way it operates. So I have no loathe for the school. I mean, it's a great school. It's a great traditions, great history. But right now, when you're comparing paths to accomplish the same goal, I could see why Steve Sarkisian is fired up about that. And why are we really just talking about wins and losses? Or are we actually talking about playing a schedule that's going to test you and reveal who the best teams are in the country? My argument would be Notre Dame's going to get to the 12-team tournament and not have proven anything to anybody. If Texas gets to the 12-team playoff, hats off. If Ohio State gets there with a schedule that includes the Longhorns here, Oregon, Indiana, Michigan, USC, at Iowa, which is always a tough place to play, where the weather could be a factor. That game is at Iowa in October. Hats off, y'all.
Yeah, I mean,
you proved it to me.
Iowa would be the second or third toughest game on the schedule for Notre Dame?
Yes.
At Iowa?
Yeah.
Is that more or less tough than at BYU? They were both in the top 15 last year.
Yeah, I'd put Iowa and BYU in somewhere. But again, Notre Dame can lose a game. And they're still going to be in, because remember, they gave them the rule this year that if they're in the top 12, they're in. And gosh forbid, Jack, when they get to 24, which they're going to, they're going to be in every year. And I don't know what the answer is. I mean, that's the one where it's like, come on, y'all. When you're in a conference, you're playing, and sometimes you get a favorable draw in your conference. I think Georgia has that this year.
Sure.
Texas had it last year, and they didn't take advantage of it.
Yeah, you can't begrudge somebody for that. At least they're in the conference.
And since we've gone to the mega conferences, you got 18 and 16 and all this, that's going to happen. It's going to be unbalanced. But I don't know. Maybe we're going to 24. But there's nothing Notre Dame's going to do this year in the regular season is going to impress anybody. It's expected. They lose a game. That should help. That should be the bar. If they lose a game with a returning quarterback who's seen as a Heisman contender, with an elite defense that might be as good as any in the country, with portal additions they made on the defensive line at Notre Dame and at the wide receiver position, they don't have Jeremiah Love, but they have a good running back who's ready to go behind a great offensive line. They're really good. I'm not sitting here telling you they're fool's gold.
Yeah,
I think UCLA is really good in college baseball,
comparison.
but come on, man. They're going to get in this tournament, which is with just 12 teams, hard to get into, with no accomplishment.
I think that's the problem. It's if they were just taking the spot of the ACC champion, that'd be fine. But that's not exactly what's happening.
Speaking of that, here's the breaking news.
Who didn't even get in last year, by the way, the ACC champion.
Did not. And their Miami barely got in, and they made a run to the championship.
Because they had beaten Notre Dame earlier in the season.
Right. Well, we'll take your thoughts. 512-834-1027. College football has problems. They have a Notre Dame problem. I'll say it. They have a Notre Dame problem. And yet, because they are who they are and they swing the stick, they still have the same level of power of everybody else. Or actually, they have the same power as a conference commissioner when it comes to seats at the table. And with that in mind, let's dive into this, Jack. Give me some breaking news, because this happened yesterday. For those who do not want to go to a 2014 playoff beyond this year, sorry. We told you last week and 2 weeks ago this is happening, and yesterday the latest piece of news that came down with this, because they're staying at 12 this year. They're going to 24 next season. By November, this will be announced, because ESPN has told them, look, let us know if you're going to 16 or 24. And if they're going to 24, they have to put Fox in for the bidding for the 24 teams. But, the big development that came down last week was that the presidential commission that we've told you about, that President Trump appointed, the collection of significant CFP decision makers that consists of 14 members. That's the presidential commission. That includes media executives, advisors to the president, and as well as Notre Dame's AD, what do you know, plus the commissioners of the Big 12, the Big 10, and the SEC, the ACC, and the American Conference. That's who's on this presidential committee. Well, they came out 10 days ago in favor of the 24-team format. They swung, because if you go back to January, that presidential committee was on board with the 16-team format, which is what the SEC has been pushing. Just adding 4 teams, keeping conference title games. Well, in January of this year, and then recently it's been made public, that swung. That 14-member commission swung their support behind 24. Also, last week, the American Football Coaches Association came out in support of the 24. And then yesterday in Amelia Island, Florida, I've heard that's a beautiful place. I'd like to attend something in Amelia Island, Florida. The ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference, had their spring meetings in which they came out in full support of the 24-team format. And according to Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports, according to one leader in the ACC, there is a consensus. The room isn't split. The ACC is all in on 24. So, again, the last group standing is the SEC. The Big 12 is going to have their spring meetings coming up next week, and they're expected, with Brett Yormark and company, to throw full support behind 24. And that leaves Greg Sankey as the last person standing in this conversation. Because, as I said, within his own 16-member conference, the SEC, Jack, the AFCA, the American Football Coaches Association, and Kirby Smart and others have already come out in support of 24. So I don't know what hill Greg Sankey's standing on. He's the last guy. He's the last person. And he is on that presidential committee that I just mentioned, but he's way outnumbered on that committee at this point. It's going to 24. And the ACC just, another nail in the coffin of anybody that wants it to stay at 12 or, stay at 16. It's going to 24. And it is the format where it's 8, 8, and 8, right? It's the top 8 seeds, then the next 8 and the next 8. It will eliminate conference championship games. It will make the first round in early December, first round games between seeds 9 and 24 on campuses. The top 8 will be off, enjoying a bye week, and then hosting the winners of the first round games, with the winners of those 8 games moving on to play on New Year's weekend in the Big 6 Bowls. That's coming. It's not this year, but just know the ACC came out in full support of 24 yesterday.
Oh, yeah, because they wanted a second team.
Or a third.
Come on now. It's the ACC. No, I'm just being
but that's the mighty conference that Notre Dame has half a foot in, where they're playing third toughest game this year for Notre Dame after BYU and Miami, SMU in South Bend.
I at least appreciate Greg Sankey standing on business. He's going to die on the hill. It's his hill to die on. I agree with him. I think 16 is better than 24, but it's not happening.
Well, so you and I disagree on that, because anything that gets rid of conference championship games, because as I've said, with Texas's gauntlet of a schedule, if they were somehow able to manage that with Arch Manning and this team and get to the SEC, well, then they got to play an SEC title game against a 9th really good team. They're already playing on their regular season schedule, Texas, 8 teams that are ranked in the preseason, the spring ESPN Plus Top 20. 8. And the reward for running that schedule would be, well, now we got to go play Georgia. Great. Awesome. I think you've proven yourself at that point that you would be worthy of the 12-team playoff, but you still got to go play the game.
And that's the thing, is it was just like another bad data point from Alabama. If the season had just ended at 12 and they didn't play that conference championship, everyone would be like, I don't think Alabama's that good, but I guess we'll see. Then they went in and had to play what is basically a playoff game against Georgia, and they got rolled, and everyone's like, oh, they suck. And then they somehow beat Oklahoma, because as we all know, what time is it, Austin? 6:48, no, you sucks. They beat Oklahoma, but then they got rolled by the first real playoff team that they played in Indiana.
The Hoosiers, yes. So there you go. That's the latest, and we'll take your thoughts on the Notre Dame problem. Maybe it's not a problem. I just look at teams that are playing completely different schedules. Oh, yeah, and Notre Dame doesn't have to play a conference title game if they run their 12-game schedule, which is very easy. Whereas Texas or Ohio State or Indiana or Oregon
do.
Georgia, all of them would have to play in a conference title game. There's something wrong here. All right, we're back. It's game time.
It's game time on 102.7 ESPN. Text the guys at 512-834-1027.
Low T Center and fixmylowt.com. That is the website to find out about your testosterone levels. That's the key, right? Fix My Low T is kind of a catchy little name for the website, and it's easy to get to. It's right there. But really, my goal for you is to find out what your T level is. Just if you're feeling some symptoms that we talk about quite a lot with low testosterone, which can be the lack of energy, you're just zapped all the time, you're not sleeping great, your libido's way down from what it used to be, you're not keeping the muscle mass on like you used to, and heck, you don't even have the energy to go work out like you used to, and then it's not showing the impact that you're looking for. All those things are sheer signs of your dominant male hormone, your testosterone diminishing as you age. And just go find out. Go to the website, fixmylowt.com. That takes 3 minutes to set up your appointment with the clinician. And then it takes you 30 minutes to go over to the clinic and take your full hormone panel test, which is free, doesn't cost you anything. And they're going to have that back for you in 20, 30 minutes. You'll know exactly where you stand, and then you can meet with and talk with the clinician about, plan from there. Where are you? Where would you like to be? What are some other things that you can optimize while you're there? And it's fixmylowt.com. Your journey just to finding out begins with those 3 steps. Schedule your appointment, go take the test for free, and then begin treatment potentially, or at least you know where you stand. It's fixmylowt.com.
Jeff Ward here in studio with Justin from Wilson Roofing. And Justin, congratulations on Wilson's 50-year anniversary. Everyone, storm season is right around the corner, so you need to seriously consider a roof inspection today. Something many homeowners fail to consider is the compounding damage a storm can have on your roof. What may be a small, inexpensive fix before the next storm can quickly turn into a major project costing thousands if it's left unaddressed before the next round of heavy rain, hail, or even high winds.
Jeff, and let me add this, because this is really important. Inspections are always free, and there's never any obligation. We're going to be very, very honest with you. If you haven't had your roof inspected in the past year, just give us a call. And after we inspect your roof, if there's no damage, we'll let you know, and we'll be on our way.
Thanks, Justin. So take a minute and call Wilson Roofing today and protect your family and your home. It's 512-263-3157, 512-263-3157, or online, wilsonroofing.com.
Hola, y'all. Trey here for Mama Betty's, the best Tex-Mex this side of the Rio Grande, with locations on Palmer and Lakeline and Burnett, south of Anderson, just north of Justin. You thinking about where to go this month to celebrate your new graduate or to thank Mom for those tireless hours of sacrifice? Well, Mama Betty's is the answer. Open 7 days a week for lunch, dinner, and weekend brunch, and the food is amazing because everything is made fresh in the kitchen and behind the bar. Or if you want to eat at home, you can also order takeout or delivery online through ilovemamabetties.com.
Rise up, Austin! Come support Austin Rise FC, your hometown women's soccer team, making waves in the WPSL. Feel the energy with fast-paced action, family fun, and a community that's all in. This is more than a game, it's a movement. Season tickets are on sale now at austinrisefc.com. ESPN radio listeners use promo code RISERADIO in all capital letters at checkout and save. Let's rise together, Austin! Family-friendly summer fun with Austin Rise FC.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Jack Farrell here from Game Time. Listen to me and Erin Hogan mornings from 6 to 11 all week long for your chance to win a pair of tickets to the Major League Pickleball Tour coming to the Austin Pickle Ranch June 11th through 14th. We've got 4-day courtside passes for you to join MLP Austin with 102.7 ESPN and the Texas Ranchers. Just listen for the keyword and text it to 512-834-1027 for your chance to win. That's June 11th through the 14th with 102.7 ESPN and the Texas Ranchers.
Austin, Texas, Central Texas, worldwide. Tyler Campbell here, inspirational speaker and Amazon best-selling author. I'm excited to tell you about my new show, Real Life, Real Talk, every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here on 102.7 ESPN. Listen, first person to ever play Division I college football with MS, my life has been all about inspiration. Tune into the show. I'll give you 3 principles to live your life by, and you will be made all the better because of it. Tell a friend to tune in. Let's go so we can grow.
Waterloo Media's Blues on the Green, presented by HEB, is back for 2 nights at Zilker Park, June 9th and 10th. Looking to park at Zilker? Skip the hassle and purchase your parking pass ahead of time at waterloomedia.com/BOTG.
A lot of text on the Game Time text line that, I am fired up. This says he's ready for football season. Yes. I don't know. The more we dive into these college football conversations, everybody's fired up about number of playoff teams. I get it. I'm just wondering how Notre Dame still gets away with what they get away with. But and somebody did ask about UCLA on the baseball side of things, so we'll dive back into the baseball. My man Ty Harrington and I will record another edition of the Talking Ball podcast today, talking all things college baseball. 1 week to go in the regular season. That's brought to you by the law office of David J. Lopez. But somebody asked about UCLA's schedule. You realize the toughest team, like Texas, and again, you play a conference schedule. Texas A&M's played a tough schedule. Anybody in the SEC's played a real tough schedule. Like Texas has gone on the road to play top 10 A&M, top 10 Auburn. Went on the road into Knoxville, played a very tough team there this past weekend. Now, again, I know the record would indicate they're not tough, but they're a top 20 team as of this week. They want to go one of the best offensive lineups in the country. That's a tough place to play. Texas has hosted, top 15 Mississippi State, top 15 Alabama, and they've played a commensurate schedule. But that's just what life in the SEC is about. The toughest 3 series that UCLA has played this year, Jack, have all been in Westwood. 13th ranked Oregon, 12th ranked USC, and then TCU. They played TCU in a 2-game series back in February. That's the list for UCLA baseball. That's the list.
It's light.
All at home.
It's light.
And I actually looked it up, and I asked AI, what's the toughest non-conference schedule they've played? And I'm not kidding you. It came back with the Amegy Bank Classic in Globe Life Park, where they played 3 different SEC teams. The second toughest is at Rutgers, April 10th through the 12th. Piscataway. How's that baseball program at Rutgers?
How's anything at Rutgers sports-wise? I don't know. And
as we said, maybe that catches up with UCLA because they haven't been battle-tested, and in the SEC, that meat grinder, gets you primed. It's, the SEC had 5 straight national champions, whereas the argument for football with Notre Dame, Notre Dame with their pansy schedule that they're going to play this year is you would argue they're going to be the freshest dang team come tournament time, and I think they're commensurate talent-wise with the other teams for sure. Can I play this for you, though, Jack? The last time, 20 years ago, Texas hosted Ohio State here in Austin. We found out yesterday ABC will carry that game with Kirk Herbstreit and company, Chris Fowler. And my man CB sent me this. This is the last time when Texas came to Austin. 2006, 20 years ago. It was the year after Texas won the national title. Vince Young had rolled off to the NFL. And here's how it sounded. Think about the difference in college football, the conversation we're having today to this conversation that they had 20 years ago this September.
In college football, in the first in 10 seasons. Now, keep in mind it is early, so the loser still has a chance to get back. But only the winner tonight can control their destiny for that national championship inside track. And the winner tonight will have to handle the hype and emerge as the clear favorite. Can Ohio State come in here, get it done on the road, which is what Texas did a year ago?
All right, so there's Chris Fowler and game day. And look, that's what people are talking about with the diminishing of the regular season. Listen to what Herbstreit just said right there, or Chris Fowler. It's 1 versus 2. Only the winner of that game controls their destiny the rest of the way. And that's true. And that's the question. Is that better or worse than the current? Where your destiny was not controlled by 1 game in September. And that was a game where Texas was breaking in a young quarterback named Colt McCoy, who was kind of thrust into the starting role after Vince Young left early for the NFL. And Troy Smith was the quarterback at Ohio State, and Ohio State won that game pretty convincingly with Jim Tressel and moved on and controlled their destiny from there. Is that better or worse? And this is what I remember arguing at the time. I think there should be more than just 2 teams that make it to the final at the end. But, now here we are going to 24, and that becomes as Kirby Smart said, what's the line of demarcation? What's too many? 24 might be,
24.
But I do like the format. I do like the new format. But either way, I will tell you 20 years ago, as excited as I was about to cover that game, and I was in Columbus for the game of the year before, I was even then pounding the table. We need more than just, you shouldn't, if you win that game or lose that game like Ohio State did in 2005 and then Texas did in 2006, that shouldn't eliminate you. But it did. It did. You were no longer in control of trying to play for a national championship. Some love that. I get it. Some love the nostalgia of that. That's the best way. I'm different on that. I like the idea. Now, is 24 too many? Probably. But to me, it's better than the current 12.